joining us. I am Yori Folarin. And my guest this morning is Mr. Ahmed Dada Abbas. He's a lawyer and political affairs analyst. Good morning, and thank you as always for coming on.
Good morning, sir.
Indeed, we'll be joined shortly by another guest, Ayodele Adewale. But in the meantime, the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal unanimously, all 5 judges were in agreement, upheld the victory of President Muhammadu Buhari. Naturally, in the APC camp, and also, many Nigerians and lawyers have hailed the decision. The senior lawyers have hailed the decision. It also must be said, though, that the PDP that lost out when its suit against the president was dismissed is heading reportedly to the Supreme Court. It has even referred to, a decision that has been widely hailed. It has even referred to it as provocative, barefaced subversion of justice. How do you see it, sir?
Well, thank you, Mr. Yori. The honest truth remains that in any litigation, no matter the outcome of any litigation, there will always be 2 schools of thought. Those who got judgment in his favor will dance and applaud the judges as
it always is like that.
And those who lose definitely will not feel happy.
Exactly.
And they will have to castigate
but
the judgment.
But when they have 5-0, not 3-2, not 4-1, 5-0.
Well, for the opposition, they will still believe. That's why we have layers of courts of appeal, that there could still be a reversal at the Supreme Court. So, and it's their right. They have the right. It's a constitutional right, and the way they feel concerning the issue, it's their right, and we cannot begrudge them. But the honest truth is that for 5 justices of the tribunal to have been on the same side of an issue, it really means I'm not for saying.
But it is what it is.
It
is what it is.
It is. I
the
do
5
not see
judges, the tribunal unanimously.
There was no dissension.
None.
Absolutely.
Whatsoever. And all the points, it was very long. In fact, some people were commenting that, this is a practical example of what it means when they say the wheels of justice grind slowly. They wouldn't be hurried, laid it all out.
The reason being that they had to comment on every issue that each of the parties raise. The APC will have its own issue, PDP has its own issue, INEC has its own issue, Buhari has its own issues, and the court has to make pronouncement on each of those issues. That is why such judgments are always detailed.
Okay.
They explain the reason why. If you listen to, because I was on the road yesterday, in the course of the judgment, but you could see the explanation that the judges were given concerning why they are taking these positions and things like that. The judgment was thorough, was detailed. So in the history of the judgment of Election Petition Tribunal, I think this is one of the most lengthiest we actually had. They started about 9:30 and ended up about 5 o'clock in the evening. So I think it was it was a detailed judgment.
And naturally, even if you were to use statistics like YouTube, that kind of thing, you see that many Nigerians were glued to it. You went to all the bars, you went to all the restaurants that had such facilities. They just looked it on the lengthy trial as it was in progress. One or 2 aspects that, as you just mentioned, they were commenting on just about everything. This is different from regular courts, isn't it? Because even there was a case, there were situations where the honorable judge that was reading the judgment would actually ask how counsel for the one side saw it, and I was hearing things like, I'm in agreement, I'm in complete agreement, my lord, or something like that. How do you see it? I'm in agreement, my lord. This was important, right?
Yes,
and it was a bit unusual for people who have seen courts as usually, that's not the way it goes. The reason and then they pronounce, but then actually asking, what if there was dissent? What if one of the lawyers said, no, I'm not agreeing?
There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. At that point in time, the judgment, the court has actually listened to both sides of the story, weighed all the documents, listened to your witnesses, and already has formed an opinion as to what is the true position.
Yes.
So your opinion as at that point in time is irrelevant. The next line of action is for you to appeal if you do not agree with the position of the court.
All right.
But as of today now, that is the law.
Yeah, just about everybody in Nigeria who's interested and who isn't interested has actually seen it. We've seen the result, they've read the papers. But let's just sum it up in a package, as we call it.
Non-compliance with the said law in the commencement or institution of an election petition is not a mere technical rule or
After nearly 9 hours, the 5 justices that sat over the petition for 177 days unanimously agreed that the 5 grounds on which the petition by the PDP and their candidate Atiku Abubakar stood were flawed. Justices Mohammed Garba, Abdul Aboki, Samuel Oseji, Joseph Ikpe, and Peter Ige dismissed PDP's petition in its entirety.
The facts pleaded in support of the above grounds of the petition can be found in paragraph 388 to 405 of the petition.
The tribunal held that the petitioners failed to get an eyewitness account to prove allegations of malpractices in the 2019 presidential election and thereby relied on hearsay, which is not admissible in law. On the allegations that PDP members were arrested and disenfranchised on election day, Justice Garba and his colleagues held that the petitioner did not call any of the victims to testify, and witnesses called again gave hearsay evidence and third-party reports.
That they raise and involve serious allegations of crimes, corrupt practices, violence, unlawful interference with electoral processes which have been made against individuals and persons who have not been made parties to this petition. The court cannot make any pronouncement of indictment against the said persons or individual without infringing on their fundamental right to fair hearing, as enshrined in Section 36(1) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which I set out.
The tribunal also ruled that the allegation of overvoting could not be proven as the petitioner tendered no voters register.
And denied that, contrary to the assertion of the petitioner to the effect that the first respondent wrongly and lawfully credited the second respondent with invalid votes, and a denial of the table of alleged scores of candidates constructed under paragraph 21, which the petitioners claim to have gotten from the first respondent server.
On whether President Buhari was qualified to contest, the court held that based on the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Buhari did not only possess the secondary school certificate, but other certificates he obtained from courses he took during his years in the army. This made him overly qualified.
Section 239 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, specifically confers exclusive original jurisdiction to this court to hear and determine any action or petition as to whether any person has been validly elected to the office of the President or Vice President under the Constitution.
The tribunal also ruled that any person declared by the returning officer as the winner of an election is deemed correct, and the burden is on the person who challenges the authenticity of the declaration to tender evidences and call witnesses to prove otherwise. The panel agreed that there is no provision in the Electoral Act for transmitting election results electronically through the use of smart card readers, so the claim that INEC transmitted results electronically is misplaced. It is the view of the court that the evidence given by the witnesses did not have any impact on the petition in helping the petitioner prove his case. At the end of the judgment, counsel to Mr. Atiku raised the issue of errors in the judgment, but the leader of the panel said the errors were merely typographical and not errors of substance which do not affect the judgment.
Limiting and circumscribing the jurisdiction of the court to the issue whether the person whose election is questioned was validly elected. It does not extend to determination of whether any of the petitioners who is challenging the election or return of the respondent was qualified to contest the election. The fact that the petitioner pleaded that the first petitioner had the right to be voted for and return in the election to the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria would not enlarge the jurisdiction of this court.
Okay, so there you go. Most Nigerians know this already because, as I said, there was so much interest on this case. Yeah, as you know, my first guest, Ahmed Dada Abbas, was saying, he was on the road, but everybody was just clued in to it. Well, as I said, Comrade Ayodele Adewale would also be joining us, and indeed he has arrived. So thank you very much. He's a rights activist and politician as well. A member of the ruling APC party. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, sir.
This must be satisfactory from what I've read. This must be satisfactory to APC and yourself.
Yes, it is. I mean, we've said it, time without number, that we have nothing to hide, and we have nothing to shiver on, knowing fully well that the facts presented before the court are not valid.
As the president himself was to comment, he was never for 1 second bothered about the challenge, because echoing what you've said, I think he said words to the effect that there was nothing to hide. He had nothing to hide, so he never bothered. And they were actually in the midst of a Federal Executive Council meeting when reportedly news filtered in that the tribunal had indeed decided this way. The president was eminently qualified, was one of the pronouncements that came out, and this was related to attempts to say that he wasn't even qualified to run in the first place. There were a number of those kind of shots in the lead up to this. There was also another interesting shot about, I think there was a time when APC said that PDP's Atiku Abubakar was not even a Nigerian. Was not even a Nigerian. So when you come along and say the president is not qualified, well, they've commented on that. And I think they also did comment that, by the way, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is not a Cameroonian. So where did you guys come up with that particular one?
Well, basically looking at his origin and what happened along that line, truly you can say that he's a Cameroonian. But of course, other things happened thereafter that the court also affirmed that, well, you can call him a Nigerian.
Okay, I guess this is one of those situations where they say all is fair in love and war. Ahmed, but, well, I'm laughing now. PDP is not laughing at all. As I said, they have called it all. They have called the judgment or the decision all sorts of names, including provocative, barefaced subversion of justice, and something about it's doing a disservice to the judiciary. On the other hand, there are those who are saying, now, this is really a thumbs up for democracy, and the people's will has been indeed been infirmed, which is the position of APC all the time. But this took 6 months. It might have taken longer, given the way justice rolls. But there was a constitutional stipulation. It must be completed in 180 days. And so I think the decision day was day 197. Now we'll go to the Supreme Court. If they go to the Supreme Court, they have indicated what. So, how is that also put within a time frame?
Yes. Now, you see, you were trying to, the first question we were trying to actually ask in the first instance that what's the PDP's, going to, like I said from inception, the issue remains that in any election, especially in any litigation, there will always be a winner and there will always be a loser. And constitutionally, that's why we have this court hierarchy, Court of Appeal, and the final bus stop is the Supreme Court. And from the way PDP has actually acted from inception, they feel strongly that there were things that were actually wrong with this election. And they have a very strong conviction that the election is going to be upturned. And of course, I wasn't surprised. Nobody should be surprised that they are heading towards it.
That they were not able to successfully defend any of the...
See, if we're to be honest with ourselves, there were some of the issues that were raised that were so elementary, extremely elementary.
Okay.
From
Let me come back to
inception.
you, please, because Joshua has called in and has been waiting. He wants to get his comment in. Good morning, Joshua. Sorry to have kept you waiting.
And good morning to your guest.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
For me, I think I'll say congratulations to Nigeria. And on one side, I want to appreciate PDP for taking this matter to court, because initially the court angle was being kicked against. I think there were many people who were appealing to them not to go to court. And I felt like that initially. But now I'm happy that they went to court. They have helped us to see how the judiciary works. I'm so glad. Well, I love, in fact, maybe I'll still go back for law. These judges they demystify everything that we have thought were impossible to understand. I'm not a lawyer, but it's an area I'm interested in. I was so impressed. You know, taking matter bit by bit, process by process, one after the other. I couldn't eat. I just sat glued to my TV. I couldn't miss anything. I was, oh God, it's amazing.
Yes.
So I'm just really very glad that we are having this.
Yeah.
So whoever is aggrieved, as they say, I don't know what they are aggrieved about, but they should help us go to Supreme Court so that we hear those judges there too. I love that. So let it not just end here.
All
they
right.
should spend their money to enlighten us. So that those of us who are not lawyers, now we are learning to be lawyers. I'm not going to be a quack, but I now know what goes on in the judiciary. So we are happy. It's a good thing.
Okay, then.
And I congratulate Nigeria and the president for me. Thank you very much, Uncle.
Thank you very much for calling in, Joshua. He, as he was saying, I think Falano, SAN, and some other lawyers have actually referred to this as a thorough decision.
Yes.
The word thorough,
I use that word from inception. If you have any doubt, or probably you have any case with this particular judgment, you really need to probably sit down and re-examine your conscience. It was a thorough judgment from inception. The line by line, they were bent. Because this election is actually very crucial. You know, the society is actually polarized, sharply polarized about, the election was not, the election had problems, the election didn't happen. But the judges were bent on demonstrating to the entire world that there's absolutely nothing to hide. For every issue that every party raised, they address it. And believe me honestly, if you place it side by side with the position of the law, that is exactly what the law says.
that was one of the more remarkable aspects for maybe non-lawyers.
Yes.
Just seeing there was a certain, there was this transparency that has been referred to by professionals as thorough,
Yes.
meaning that nothing was left in the dark.
Nothing, absolutely.
They actually, and I think the word demystification has been used, that it was actually demystified. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Uncle Yori. And good morning to your guests as well.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, I would have been very surprised if the outcome was to the contrary. You just don't come to the public with hollow accusations and without any proof and expect the judges to award you victory. Yes.
But having said that,
Yes.
you recall that the PDP has said that it finds it so provocative. According to the PDP, there were all sorts of holes in the case. They even went as far as almost accusing judges of actually working to fill up these holes, taking on roles that weren't theirs.
It's part of the same hollow accusations that I speak of, Uncle Yori. What proof do they have for those allegations? When the judges came out with their verdict yesterday, like Joshua said, it was educative for most people that are not used to the process of the due process of the court. So instead of the party, the PDP, to play an effective opposition, they just embark on daily abuse of the president. Abusing the president is not opposition. That will not persuade people to consider you as an alternative. You are to hold the government accountable and provide alternatives to what they are doing. That will convince the people that if you are put there, you will do better. But I'm not saying that. Every day, if they don't abuse the children of the president, they will abuse his wife or his farm or whatever he's doing. And nothing concerns governance. Just mere condemnation. How do you go to court and say there were so many wrong things, many things were done against you, and you did not bring those people that saw it done?
Are they saying, you see the lawyers that represented them, so many fans, so they couldn't advise their client that this thing cannot fly. Let them go to the Supreme Court, or if there's anything beyond the Supreme Court, let them go there. It is their money that they are spending.
Okay.
So I wish them good luck.
All right then. Thank you very much for calling in. But they have said, and it is their right, that they will go to the next higher court. Well, actually, that's the highest court of the land, as has been said. That's the last bus stop.
The last bus stop.
And it will be quite interesting if they decide to take it there, because I guess following from this decision that people are admiring, even those that aren't versed in the law, don't know very much about it. I mean, I saw guys glued to the TV set, and I was saying, which one is your own? Because I knew people that I thought were not into that kind of thing. And they said, I'm watching it. It's interesting. I just actually didn't know that as many people would be interested. I mean, it was, no, not to exaggerate it, but it's almost like a football match, the way Nigerians will watch a football match, especially when the national team is playing. It was almost like that, you know. But now we have this decision. The point has been made that go to the Supreme Court. It's like Mr. Joe started out by saying he would have been surprised if it had been otherwise. So if we go there, nobody can say what will happen, because the decision will have to be taken at that time. But people are feeling that, the clarity that this tribunal afforded me in this matter, if these are the same issues that they take over there, perhaps like the president, they'll say, I'm not losing any sleep, But now, I'm sure the party will be relieved to get on with the business of governance. That was also a point that Mr. George made, because thankfully the president said that he's never been bothered with it, which was mean that he never slowed down for it. He was just continuing in faith, knowing that things will take care of itself, especially as he and his party didn't have anything to hide. I mean, is that an accurate assumption, that you are anxious, the party must be anxious to put this behind them and get on with the business?
Well, basically, people should understand that politics is about mathematics, and you must get your arithmetic well in order to arrive at a very good conclusion. What happened to the PDP is that they got carried away with various rhetorics and various emotions, and emotion does not win you merits most times. And at the court will only base its decision on facts that is presented before it. And looking at those facts, that make us more confident that they have no case before the court. And the APC did their homework very well, campaigned very well, went along programs, and of course the integrity of every one person that walked within that corridor of campaign. And that actually won us the victory. And if you throw it here and there, nothing will happen. And I want to commend the media for doing one thing, making sure that the proceeding at that court was transmitted for people to see.
On multiple stations.
You understand? So every Nigerian followed the process.
Whatever your
and
they
were convinced about the conclusion of those judges.
Indeed.
And none of them departed from their positions.
Indeed. And we made the point of the remarkable situation of all five agreeing.
Yes.
Unanimous decision. Comrade Ogbanago, did I get that correct? Ogbanago in Abulegba?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. I think I will first of all, let me, my greeting to the guests in the studio.
Okay.
Good morning.
And you too, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. I think the court is not a Father Christmas. Hope you know that.
Please continue.
A court is not a Father Christmas.
That's what lawyers say.
Yes. Look, court acts on whatever you brought before it. This is a man who has gone to the level of a general in the Nigerian army, a former head of state of this federation, of this country, and you said he has no certificate. The court acted based on what you brought before it, and that was what happened yesterday. In fact, I learned a whole lot of things from the court yesterday because I sat patiently with my television. I watched everything that went on. And it was a lesson, and I will advise Alhaji Atiku Abubakar that he should not allow the lawyers to continue rocking him anymore. They are collecting his money. Let him go and team up with Muhammadu Buhari and build up this country. And I think that is what I have for him. Good morning.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, with regards to certification, I think the PDP...
And by the way, I think everybody is aware that the court actually used the word the president is eminently qualified.
I was leading
qualified.
With regards to certification, the PDP needs to be schooled very well. President Buhari presented the basic certification to contest. Now, beyond that, this is a man that did courses at Sandhurst, the National Defense War College, the NDA, and several other military courses, which, of course, at the end of those studies, you also be given confirmation of certification.
Yes.
So how can you say somebody that rose within the ranks, somebody that also helped to build the NNPC, somebody that was regarded by every administration that he served under or that he governed, to be very credible? Even the Archbishop of Canterbury, of course, you know that before he comes to you regularly, the Queen of England will also be in the know.
Yes.
So, and they were very pleased with him to the extent that the British provided the medical care. So you should understand that this man is worldly accepted.
I hear, but you people also said Atiku is not in Nigeria.
Of course.
What I'm saying is that in as much as we're going to be throwing stuff around.
If you look at it, the way Nigeria was queued together, at the point of birth, he wasn't a Nigerian.
Oh, so you're still taking it as a serious charge?
At the point of birth, he wasn't a Nigerian.
In the issue of the educational qualification, I think it was just a misinterpretation of the provisions of the Constitution. It very clearly, it says anybody that, will vie for the office of a president should have education up to secondary school certificate level. It didn't say you must process the certificate in itself. Neither must you have passed maybe in 8 credits or 9 credits. What the Constitution was doing is just set a baseline to say, look, anybody that will aspire to the office of a president should at least have acquired education up to the secondary school certificate level, so that reading and writing programs and signing documents and all the rest of them.
This was well known.
And yes.
Welcome back. And as Comrade Ayodele was saying, earlier, in relation to the question of qualification, he said that maybe some people need to get better schooled on the idea, and Mr. Abbas was just talking about the Constitution stipulating what it did, but also giving INEC leeway to interpret and the first certificate, school living certificate, or equivalence. In other words, competency. I mean, what is that word? Equivalency. What is equivalent to that?
The whole essence of the Section 131 of the 1999 Constitution was just to lay a basic foundation to say, look, if you're aspiring for the office of the president of this nation, we want to ensure that reading, writing won't be a tedious task for you. And it is believed that if you have at least up to secondary school level, you should be able to. And the other issue is that, that's not just the only angle to it. Having acquired experience in a place of work, in order, like he also said, somebody that has actually attended
the Sandhurst
for example, University, Sandhurst War College, attended, served 35 years in the military and attended in international courses and all the rest of them. You cannot, under any circumstance, interpret such a person as having not acquired education. It was a no-brainer.
And they were so clear about
that. It was a no-brainer. Absolutely.
I guess that's why I guess that's why they've come up with what we're quoting. Eminently qualified. Not just qualified, eminently qualified. Mazi Okorafo, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Ogadada. Good morning, Ms. Ayodele.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, yesterday, the 7 hours lecture, honestly, it was very, very interesting. Because when you sit down and be watching what is going on from page to page, from one sequence to another sequence, you see, that is a very thorough job. To me, what I will advise Nigeria that if you know whether you are suspended as of anywhere, whether presidential, any type of election you have contested and you failed, either court or you within yourself, you know that you failed. They should prepare against 2023. Use the money, strategize. Now, you see, if you watch television, you see what is happening now in U.S. The social, what they are doing now. All those who that contested that with Trump in the election, what are they doing now? They are now strategizing. What do you mean by strategizing? You see how they are carrying that from one campaign to another campaign, press conference for president, debate, and the rest now. They are now arranged. People are now seeing exactly, and they know exactly where their loopholes are, and they have to arrange it. That is the strategy to plan towards the next election. I was expecting Nigerian politicians to borrow a leaf from what is happening there. So that if you borrow a leaf from that, you now know exactly where are the loopholes. Now, what do you do, and how will you tackle come 2023? But somebody will say that, why must I start preparing? Now, you ask yourself, why is America planning towards the next election? These are what we call strategies in politics. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi. And sorry, did you want to say?
No.
The other point that PDP made a lot of in going into the tribunal was the whole that whole structure of what's it now? The server, the whole server that collapsed like a pack of cards, right?
Yes, because the court said the position of the law is still as it is as against the 2015 pronouncement of the Supreme Court. There is no provision of the law that mandates INEC to transmit its election electronically. The purpose of the card reader is to authenticate that, oh, this man that is coming before INEC to vote
is who he says he is.
Is who he says he is, and that is the owner of this voter's card. That is what the card reader is meant. And once that accreditation is done, the card reader has finished its assignment. There is no connection between the card reader and the INEC server to probably transmit. No.
And you see what happened to the PDP. Let's be very frank. You see, I was opportune to train at the time under the leadership of Chief Anthony and our CFR, who again was the majority leader of the Western Parliament. Now, he told me at a point that don't get carried away by the crowd, but look toward the substance that crowd has in terms of electoral value. The crowd that the PDP saw, marooving all around them, meandering all around them, cheering them, those were not crowd with substance.
But
if you look at that crowd, less than 10%.
Politics is a game of numbers.
It's a game of numbers. Like I said, it's mathematical.
Yeah.
From the point of registration, how many people did the PDP register to vote for them? That is why the APC is ahead of them.
Okay.
From the point of registration, you start doing your aggregation. Just like the American elections. They'll start giving you opinion polls. They know where they're tallying it from. You tally it. So that at a point, you can see that you are ahead. But these people get carried away by the charade.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you start bringing, things that are not substantial.
Olaolu in Sango-Ota. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
I think with this judgment that was passed yesterday, I was very, very happy because one of the reasons is that the judges are they are comprehensive on giving the judgment. Because even a layman in the street can understand the judgment very well when you listen to the judgment. Because there is difference between certificates and the law of the land. What the law of the land said is that it will give the guidelines of what is your qualification of contesting for a president. Is not the certificate. So, I think that is one of the reasons that the judgment was very, very impressive. And other comprehensive judgment I was giving, even as the article issue of being a Cameroonian or a Nigerian, I'm very, very impressed the way the judge analyzed the issue, which is very, very good. But to me, I would advise Atiku Abubakar to think further rather than going to court of Supreme Court.
Okay.
So that's just for me.
Thank you very much, Olaolu, but it is his right to...
No, I think we shouldn't make the mistake. We should not misunderstand when people go to court. They help to deepen the process of democracy. Because what you do is that a particular issue arises and you don't know how to interpret the law because both sides are interpreting the law. Some say differently. So we take it to court to say, look, we are not learned people. You are the interpreters of the law. Please help us.
Yes.
And once they make that pronouncement,
it becomes a precedent.
That's law.
That's law. So right there.
So
So you can't bring up that issue again tomorrow.
Only a dumb lawyer will decide to take that same issue to court, except you're asking the court in the face of probably new evidence to reverse itself. But there are some that are very clear, like the issue. I think the word eminently qualified was just a way of the court showing anger.
Okay.
That this shouldn't have even come before us at all. That the man is not only qualified, he's overqualified. That's why they use the word eminently.
Okay. Good morning, Lawrence in Jos.
Good morning, and the panelists. Good morning, all of you.
Thank you for calling in. Good morning.
I'm very impressed with the tribunal yesterday. As other callers said, it makes all Nigerians, even we the laymen, to know that there are lawyers in Nigeria and there are judiciary. At least if Atiku want to go to Jesus Court, let him go. It will educate us more. But what baffles me is that in overseas, as Okorafor said, once anything is being judged from the court of law, nobody, no senior advocate or anything will go against it on the street or go into the Almajiri, begin to tell them that we don't accept it, we don't accept that. Go to the Supreme Court, don't go to the Almajiris. Go to Supreme Court and complain. You see, you get you are a professional lawyer. Don't go to Almajiri in the street or tell them on the paper or radio that you don't agree to this judgment. Go to Supreme Court. Thank you and God bless.
Indeed. Thank you very much for calling in.
If I may add to what he has said, sure. You see, at this point, I would have loved that Chief Gani Fahimi is still alive. You see, like we have in this studio, there are some areas where the camera sees, and there are some areas that are blind. That is how it is in law. So right now, I will look at policymakers and lawmakers to also look at this judgment and see some other areas where they can make amendments into our judicial system and, of course, into our constitution so that we make it perfect. Okay. And we continue to aim at perfection as we go along.
I see that you're agreeing on that particular point.
Yes. Because if you look at the time used in the pursuit of issues that eventually will lead to nowhere, the resources that have been dispensed, lawmakers and policymakers, like you rightly said, should sit down and extray what has transpired, the issues, the challenges, and go back to the drawing board and say, how do we help to reduce the energy we dissipate in electoral matters? Once the election is announced in America as the presidential winner, everybody goes back to their normal life. No lawyers,
no protests, no.
So we should look. Our policymakers, the National Assembly, should look at it and say, okay, because PDP actually have the issue of electronic servers and election not being electronically transmitted in this age and time. We must tell our leaders they should be honest with the Nigerian people, and that they should open up the system, be transparent. It shouldn't cost. It shouldn't take us. Look at you collate election at the ward level. From the ward level, you go to the local government level. From the local government level, you go to the senatorial district. From senatorial district, you go to the state level. From the state level, you go to the regional level. From the regional level, you go to the federal capital. Look at the number of days it took us to announce a presidential election. They are waiting for the rec from Imo State. When he comes, he begins to open big sheets and all the rest of them. Please, at the ward level, let us bring stakeholders. Technology has made life very easy. On the spot. Declare the election, send it out to the entire world. Let the result be in the hands of everybody.
So these are some of the forms that could be considered. One moment, please, because I've been, for the past almost 3 minutes, I want to thank Mr. Adekunle in Ijebu-Ode. Good morning, sir, and thank you for holding on.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
And good morning to your panel.
Sure.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. I just want to put a little of my own view. You see, Nigerian politicians, they are a major problem. Nigerian politicians. Huh?
Please continue.
Yeah, Nigerian politicians, they are our major problem. Sir, if you can recall, in 2015, when Atiku was with Buhari, they were going around campaigning together, flying in Atiku private jet together. They didn't remember then Atiku was a Cameroonian. So go to Atiku. Atiku was with him. Atiku didn't know Buhari don't have that certificate then. You can see these people are just pulling us up and down. Now they are separated. They are now seeing each other first. Anyway, that's not my own problem. The judge yesterday, I watched the whole program. But my main point there, maybe I'm not too educated. Maybe the panel can educate us. Sir, your name is Yori Polani. I watch you regularly. Are you saying somebody that is Yori for learning? If I now remove that Yori for learning, and I say Yori for learning, is it the same thing? They were saying somebody said Muhammad Buhari and Muhammad, and the judges and all the stand, everybody there accepted. I was flying to Europe to Electoral one day. My British visa, the visa I got from Nigeria, my ignorance, I didn't even look at it very well because I have other visa. Getting to Electoral airport, just because A was missing in my name, I was in typographical error from the embassy here in Nigeria. Just because of that A, I was sent back to Nigeria to come and renew the visa. Why didn't the British people say, okay, it's still the same thing because of PA? That's where I have problems, sir. God bless you in Lagos.
Well, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate your commentary as well. And one thing that's coming up here is that people are actually admiring the judiciary for this particular job. Say, look, there is hope. In fact, I've also seen some other, opinion leaders comment on I guess lawyers kicked it off by the thoroughness, the eloquence, the thoroughness, the justice who read it out, and people have been commending that it has helped us. What would have been an arcane subject, they've made it plain for us to see if you had a reasonable intelligence.
Somebody made a comment that the court is not a Father Christmas, yes. And that is what lawyers normally say. The court's responsibility to listen to your side of the story, both sides of the story, and arrive at their decision based on what the provisions of the law says. Now, the court in its pronouncement said, even though there were tons of documents presented before it, the court said the witnesses that the petitioner brought made no connection to the document. You provided the document, okay, probably you provided a document that was mutilated and your intention is to show that, yes, this document had been tampered with and does not reflect, it's not authentic any longer and all the rest of them. And you brought in witnesses that were testifying on your behalf and never made references how those documents were. It does not actually reflect.
That's on the legal team, isn't it?
Yes.
That's on the legal team of the PDP. Why did they allow that? Why didn't they prepare? I mean, I don't know.
Those were the lapses.
Is it correct that you can't prepare witnesses?
No. It's your responsibility to prepare your witnesses.
If I may come from that standpoint, you see, I'll just give you two examples. There was a time in this country where the government said just two parties should be the mainstay for political aspiration and all of that. Chief Gani Faemi came, tested water, and proved them wrong. And today we have multiple parties. Now, I'll take you also to the student movement, because I would have thought Mr. Mike Exakome should have advised them better, because he's a product of the left. And he knows quite well that before you go further, there is something called mock session. They should have organized a mock session, look at their facts, juxtapose it with what they are going to face at the judiciary, why not waste the time of Nigerians? Secondly, not deceive their principal. Thirdly, not waste money. But perhaps there could be economic interest for the lawyers to wanting just to test waters and make economic gains.
You are speaking as an APC man.
No, I'm speaking as an activist, as a realist. Because these were the things we did during the military era. Before we go to the barricade. You understand? We organize mock sessions.
Because I'm sure the lawyers...
And we engage ourselves in intellectual discourse. Now, why is it so difficult? You claim you have witnesses. You cannot school them very well to the extent that they can defend what they saw and bring out facts from the electoral documents that you show before a judge to convince the judge. These are things that we practice in APC before, during, and after the elections, so that we keep our books right.
Because most of them are senior advocates, I would have just taken
all of that. The economic gains. You know what it is to go to court? It costs billions of naira.
But let me just...
Wait, sorry, sir. Mohammed in Dublin. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
And good morning to your...
guests.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. And good morning to your guests in the studio.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
I want to join other Nigerians to please beg Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to please allow Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari to concentrate. He has really tried. Even the court judgment yesterday, to me, is more than the final, is even more than what Supreme Court will even give. What else did he want again? The court yesterday is like from page to page. They made him to understand that this is more flexible for him to even understand it. It's like calling A and B and C. It's really a great development to the judicial system in Nigeria. I'm joining other Nigerians to beg him. Administrations and leadership need concentrations. But President Muhammad Buhari needs nothing but to concentrate now and lead us. Before you know it, 4 years is gone. He can as well. He's still, to me, he's very young and healthy. He can at least contest again. Muhammad Buhari tried for 4 years before he got it.
All right,
Let him keep trying.
All right.
But this time he should please, we are begging him, allow Muhammad Buhari to concentrate.
All right, then.
Thanks.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Even President Muhammadu Buhari, he had three goes at it. Approached the Supreme Court 3 times. So,
yes, okay, before he won the first time.
Yes. So before he won.
But antecedent and pedigree also come to stay.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't have it, you keep losing.
Okay.
Well,
I had interrupted something that you were going to say because we had to go. We're actually sometimes because we want the calls to come in. Sometimes it can dislodge your train of thought. But this is a judgment copious, thorough, and I imagine it's going to be studied for quite a while because all the matters that were brought and that have been pronounced upon, without prejudice to how the Supreme Court decides, if indeed it is taken there. The point you've made is that it's helped us in the future. There's so many things that will not be brought up again, and if they are, they can be dismissed in seconds because
the precedents are there.
The precedents are there. This has been decided upon.
Like the court actually said on the issue of electronic transfer of election results, that look, the position as stated by the Supreme Court in 2015 still remains until it is made part and parcel of our law, electoral law. There is, even in the guideline, there was no provision for electronic transfer. So the position is that in 2015, the Supreme Court said there is nothing in the law making it mandatory for elections to be, election results to be transmitted electronically. That the issue of card reader that is being misinterpreted is basically to authenticate voters, and it ends. The assignment of the card reader ends once it has been proven that he that is holding the card, the voter's card, is actually the person standing before the INEC officials to vote. That's all.
Indeed. So we wait on, there'll always be a winner anyway, and if 2 people are contesting, I think one will be a winner, and the other has to, accept, and if there are no other options, accept and get on with it. So this is where we are, but the PDP has said it will be approaching the Supreme Court. That ought to be interesting. No doubt, well, I don't know. It's possible that their lawyers could come around, because this was said immediately. Maybe upon reflection, maybe people can see their way to an alternative to that. But otherwise, people have said that it's going to be further educative.
Let them. We encourage them to go to the Supreme Court so that no. I said, like I said, yes. You see, it helps to deepen our democratic practice. Let them go to Supreme Court once they get to Supreme, because if you leave it fallow, it also means next 2023 it could still be a subject of litigation again. But once you get to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says this is the position of the law, then everybody goes to sleep.
Okay.
And you start fishing for other issues.
The truth of the matter is for us. The truth of the matter is that it's better for us to burn energy at the judiciary than burn energy on the street with arms.
I hear you.
So it's better that way.
Okay.
Yeah. So let us go there, trash those matters out, get more educated. But the fact again is, at this point of our civilization, I'll put 2 things before you. Which one is more delicate? Transfer of billions of naira electronically, or transfer of numbers of votes? The Nigerian people should decide on that, because we need to move our technology up.
Thank you. No, I think what we should just say is that our lawmakers and policymakers should save us.
Indeed.
A lot of problems.
Be up to
They should simplify and put scientific processes into our election, so that a day after the election, we know our result, and everybody goes back to their normal life, and things continues.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Dada Abbas, lawyer and political affairs analyst, and also Comrade Ayodele Adewale, political activist and politician. Thank you, gentlemen,
Thank you
for sharing your perspectives. So that's our program. Please